everyone, it's Sherry here from Canada. We have a true Renaissance man with us today. He's the incomparable Mr. Dean K. Piper, but to many of his millions and millions of fans, they all call him the Pipe Man. He's a true visionary. He's the founder and owner of Top 4 Media. It is the biggest and fastest growing multimedia network platform. He's already got partners with Pandora, Spotify, and growing partnerships with Amazon, now Amazon Prime and Amazon Music. The Pipe Man, he's also a best-selling author. He's a motivational speaker. He's a publicist and radio show host to a very popular daily show called The Adventures of the Pipe Man. He is also known to many as the king of entertainment, which is internet information and entertainment. It's my honor and privilege to introduce you all to the Pipe Man.
Well, thank you. Now, after you said all that, I guess we're done. The interview's over. You already went over everything.
No, not at all. But I'm curious, Pipe Man, how did you start? Obviously, the funny thing is with COVID and everything, you're just sitting there, not sitting there, but, everybody's now coming to you wanting to be a part of you because, you have a crystal ball. It would seem you knew this was coming with everyone turning over to this type of media platform.
It's interesting too. Like one that I think you didn't mention, or maybe you did, was my first partner was iHeart, where we put a lot of our shows on. And iHeart recently laid off, and before COVID, laid off a whole lot of people because of AI. At the end of the day, they realize that things are changing, and it's kind of like, that's the thing about people that have been radio a long time is I kind of call them that they have WKRP in Cincinnati syndrome.
That's a good one.
No doubt. Because I don't come from the radio world. I come from, I used to pay to have a radio show to get leads and do infomercials and stuff like that. So when I came into this arena, I saw a vision of what radio was going to be. And all the rest of the people didn't want to let go of what was that is dying right now. So say that again?
I was going to say, no one likes change, no matter what industry that you're in or what you're doing. When people have to do things differently, it's uncomfortable for them.
Yeah.
But because of COVID, and this is across the board in every industry, people are having to downsize, lay off, and people are having to, reinvent themselves. It's a really interesting time that we're in right now.
No doubt. And it's going to change forever. And my grandmother always used to say the only thing constant in life is change,
Correct. And the only thing certain is when it does in Texas.
No doubt. And both of those are pretty imminent right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, but
yeah, and you guys do movie reviews, so I'll even reference something to a movie. So I used to be very big in the investment business. I actually knew the Wolf personally. The funny thing is that one of the movies before The Wolf of Wall Street that was also about that same firm is called Boiler Room. And not many people realize that's about the same firm, but it's from a salesperson's perspective. And one of the lines they do in the meeting where Ben Affleck is doing that group interview meeting, which we all did in the investment business, doesn't matter if you're legit or not legit, the sales process is the same, the way you run the business is the same. And I used to run those meetings all the time. And the one thing that really stood out to me is in that meeting, Ben Affleck says, okay, who has a Series 7 license? And some dude, all cocky, raises his hand and he's like, I do. Pack your bleep bags and get out. I don't hire brokers, I train new ones. And I'm a big believer in that because of that resistance to change thing. And it's same with this business. I get people in, audio engineers that I hire, especially in my LA studios. These people, they've been doing it for 30 years. And to be blunt, they stink. And the reason they stink is because they've been doing it for 30 years on something that we don't use anymore. And they don't want, I mean, I had a scenario where, you know, I was listening to one of our shows, and we pride ourselves on, we're not a DIY place. We run a professional radio station. You know, yes, you can do an internet radio station from your home. That doesn't mean you necessarily should, you know, and there's a big difference. So I was listening to the radio while this guy's engineering, and the sound was really terrible. It was very hot. And I call him up, and he's like, sounds fine in my headphones. And I'm like, I don't care what it sounds like in your headphones. I care what the listeners are hearing. But because he was so used to doing it one way for 30 years, the concept of him doing it differently, just no matter what you did, you couldn't change. And that's why in the eras that we live in now, I'm also a firm believer of the youth. Even like we have a presidential election coming up. Forget who's in it, who's red, who's blue. I don't care about any of that. I care about, why do we have a 74-year-old and a 77-year-old man running for president in the era of technology, social media, the internet, cell phones, all stuff that they're not going to be the experts on, and they're not considered relevant to the present nor the future, just the past. You know, I think the youth is the future right now, and that's the future of radio, that's the future of TV, that's the future of movies, the future of everything. And that was the vision that I had when I came into this. It was one of the worst economies in US history. The word podcast didn't even exist yet. And there was internet radio just starting. And because I came from the investment business where, you know, you always had nice offices, you dressed in Armani suits, you know, it was all about image. I was like, yeah, I see the vision of internet radio of being the future and terrestrial falling by the wayside. And I used to tell people, like, you're going to see internet radio in cars, and people thought I was nuts. They thought I was crazy. I used to tell them all kinds of things, like what we're doing now. I used to say, this is what we're going to be doing. They're like, that'll never happen. But I also believe that it was only going to happen if you treated it like a real radio station, not like some, because you have a computer, you can call yourself a radio station. So that's really how I started, and I kind of view it as, I was Bill Gates, the rest of them were IBM. Bill Gates went to IBM when he worked for him and said, I had an idea of a PC in every home, and they were like, you're nuts, the mainframe will never go away. And we know how that story ended as we're sitting here right now.
Yep.
Dean, you remind me of, I go back to 2008, obviously myself. I took myself out of radio for 4 years because I was doing a lot of one-on-ones, a lot of the junkets in Los Angeles. And they didn't get what I was telling them, what was about to change. If you see one housing market go down, that doesn't mean it's not going to be another one. That means it's going to be another one. It's just a matter of when. And I always say this, yeah, anyone could do it out of their home, but not anybody knows what the hell they're doing. And the reason why I took Terri and Victoria out of Los Angeles, we went to Tennessee to shoot our shows, because we set up a green screen. I set it up the night before. Terri came in the next day. Out of Tennessee and Dean, we still have 3.7 million views and counting. Out of a garage that we set up the night before she flew in, and we did 4 shows.
Yeah, and I flew in on
2 of those shows, Dean. She's got 2 million views just out of those 4 shows that we did there. Never been broadcast wide. And it's almost like, what's your vision that you have? And I tell people, I want to interview everybody because you just never know where they're going to be. So when Sherry came in, and, you know, also talking about someone else, Jimmy Starr and Ron Russell on your network, we've all become friends. We all like each other. We all feed off of each other, if that makes sense. Because I always tell people, I'm a straight black guy. There's no way I'm going to go to Tennessee by myself and do it. I had to bring those women in. So when Sherry's got her own, Terry's got her own views, I couldn't be more proud of them because I couldn't have done it by myself. You've got to have that good team. You got to take it out of the system, cultivate it, whether people understand what the hell you're talking about or not, and just go for it because they're not going to get it.
Yeah.
Well, look,
hey, Dean, we have 6 million views a day and counting. So we must be doing something right.
Well, I'm going to add to, just look when MySpace started, where we are now with social media.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Yeah,
and
that's
what you get faster and more, and that's why I said what I did about, you know, presidents, you know, not having anything to do with the person. It's like generations are shorter. When I grew up, generations, the definition was 25 years. In the past 25 years, we've had 3 generations. That's because things are moving so fast and technology is so fast. You know, baby boomers were around forever. Gen Xers, which is what I am, around forever. Now, both of us are like the dinosaurs, because now you have 2 millennials. You have the, you know, 1 millennial, the older millennials and the younger millennials have 4 kids. All 4 are millennials, but the 2 older millennials are more like Gen X, and the 2 younger millennials are not. And they're totally different. And then you have Gen Y and Gen Z. So you have 4 generations in the past 30, 35 years.
But Pipe Man, that's one thing I think is key to your success, in my opinion, as well as Brian, is I've heard you over and over again in interviews say you don't like the word genre. You don't like to compartmentalize people, because I know that you must see that that will stifle potential growth out of that box. And I know, like, you're a big music fan, and I think if like you said, if you live life without age, you know, you're happier, you see more, you're willing to learn more and experience more. And I think that's also the essence of your Talk 4 Media platform that just continues to grow, because look at all the bigger names, like big names out there that are coming to you, wanting to be a part of you, like Amazon expanding their brand into your brand. So I think that is the key, is not becoming just in that vein.
Yeah, well, even the iHeart thing is a funny story how that happened, you know, because our main studio is in Wellington, Florida. We have multiple studios. And again, people say to me, well, why you have multiple studios? It's internet radio. And again, it's having the same look and feel as a terrestrial radio station. You still need to have local markets, and you still have to do live remotes and events and all those things. So I did a lot of events in this area, and there was one event that the chamber put on here that we were involved with. But before that event happened, somebody came up to me and said, hey, you should have Vanilla Ice on your show. He lives in town. Now, I'm an 80s metalhead, so I was like, why? And they were like, well, he does this Toys for Tots event downtown West Palm in a couple of weeks. Why don't you go down and check it out? So I did. I went down there and I was like, holy crap. There were 50,000 people there to see Vanilla Ice. I was like, where'd that come from? And then I came to find out he had the #1 single in London. He has this DIY show that's really popular. And he's actually a lot more popular than I expected, and all that. But then we did this event in Wellington that was a festival that the first year and every year after, he performed at, and he performed for free because it's his hometown. Like, it was funny. His manager wanted to charge us, I was a trustee in the chamber, wanted to charge us 10 grand. A chamber doesn't pay 10 grand for anything, you know? And so he's like, no, I'm doing it for free. It's my hometown. So right there, I have respect for him. So one of the deals I made as I was broadcasting live is I want an interview with him. So he kept coming over to do an interview, and every time his, you know, manager would take him away to do something else. The end of the day, the manager comes over to me and says, sorry, he's not going to be able to do the interview. He has to go to another event. And I look up, and Rob is running across the amphitheater field, sits down in the chair, and goes, don't listen to him. I promised you an interview. I'm giving you one. There I gained respect. Didn't have to, and I was cool if he didn't. So then he invites me to come and broadcast live at his Toys for Tots event that year. And I go down there, broadcast live, blah, blah, blah. You know, it was cool, had a good time, you know, promoted it. The second year, I'm setting up, and a big director at Clear Channel, before there was really iHeartRadio, comes up to me and says, you need to take this down.
Ah, God.
And listen, I was in the investment business. I swam with the sharks, so I know how to play the game. And at first I was very, you know, nice and humble. And I was like, well, why? And they're like, well, because we're, you know, we're Clear Channel. We pay for this event. We pay, and we don't want you here. And I'm like, well, Rob invited me here, you know, and they're like, we don't care. We pay him too. And then I was like, well, I'm not your competition. I'm some little internet radio station. You're Clear Channel. And they're like, no, we're iHeartRadio and you are our competition. That's before they were really a thing as iHeartRadio. It was before the switchover. Wow. So then I was like, well, I'll help you. I'll send people over your booth. We'll work together, blah, blah, blah. They're like, no, take your booth down and leave now. So now I knew that wasn't going to work. So it was time to go to not being so nice. And I was like, listen, with all due respect, I'm not leaving because you tell me to leave. If Rob asks me to leave, I'll leave. But otherwise, I'm not. And she had like smoke coming out of her ears. You know, who talks to her like that? Usually she bullies the little guy and they stand down, but she didn't know who she was dealing with. And so then she goes up on stage where he's sound checking, and all I hear over the mic is, and I'll keep it clean, get the F off of my stage and leave my effing radio station alone.
Wow.
For that, I have respect for him for the rest of my life because he was getting paid by them. He did not have to do that. You know, if he would have came over to me and said, hey, do me a favor, I would have left in a heartbeat. Then he brought her upstairs, this club that's not there anymore called Feel Goods, just into an office, talked to her, and she came down and apologized to me. And then he took me and he moved me into his VIP area instead, so that they didn't have a say. Year later, he's doing our event here in Wellington. Comes up to me, he goes, "You gonna come down and broadcast live again?" I kicked Clear Channel out this year. I don't put up with that corporate radio bull crap. I don't like the way they treated you, and I'm not dealing with that. So that was very interesting. But what was even more interesting is then I got a phone call. This is so-and-so, and I'm from iHeartRadio, and we've been listening to your station for the past year, and we have this new concept coming out. It's called iHeart Talk, and you have great content, and you're producing, you know, studio quality, you know, and we want to form a partnership with you. So that's the end of the story, probably, I don't know, 10 years ago. And also, to all your viewers, that's what I'd like to mention too, is sometimes you guys stand up to the big bad wolf to get what you want out of life.
Dean, before Sherry, I know you have a question. I'm going to piggyback off of that. This is the reason why I became not a rule follower. I was always a small person. I never wanted to be syndicated because during the junkets with all the studios, it was the publicists, sort of like what Rob did to you, that liked me. I don't know why they liked me, maybe because I fought to be there, maybe because I was that movie whore. But I never forgot that, because if Steven Spielberg and his publicist invited me to an event and the studio publicist didn't want me there because I was syndicated, I would say the same thing. I'm like, hey, Mr. Spielberg invited me there. If you want to go and talk to him, go and talk to him, or else I'm not leaving. And I said this, no matter what, I'm going to outlast all you people, no matter what, because, hey, if they would tell me, Dean, you're not a black outlet, we can't invite you. I said, it's movie reviews and more. What does the color of my skin have to do with it? So I never went to any of the award shows, the black award shows, because of that. Because they looked down on me. They didn't think I deserved to be there. And where are they today? Most of them are out of business. They retired or they're dead, unfortunately. I forgot that. And that's why I fight so hard for the girls. And I say no. I say yes to people, because everybody deserves the chance. You might only get one chance, but you do deserve 2 or 3, depending on how you are. And I never forgot that. So when iHeart didn't return my phone calls, I said, I'll show you guys. Let's see who's last standing. Look where they are now, Dean, right?
Yeah.
Look where Comcast is. And all of a sudden, they're all calling us all of a sudden, right?
Yep, no doubt, no doubt.
Sherry, go ahead. I had to say that. I'm sorry.
Pipe Man, Terri Marie, that's here right now. She's got a very, very popular TikTok.
Oh, thanks for
wait,
mentioning.
I'm gonna have to look you up on TikTok.
Well, I just started the account. I'm a fitness person, fitness competitor. I'm doing a show in Vegas in November. I'm going back to the stage after 4 years, but then I've always done acting off and on my whole life. And because of COVID, I just was kind of bored. And I've been tired of listening to politics because it's just been too draining on me. I'm not going to get into what side I'm on because, you know, I have my opinions or whatever, but it just, everything because of COVID, just because of the negative energy, I'm like, I can't be on Facebook anymore. Everybody's toxic. So I just started going on TikTok and making funny videos. And it's actually, I'm enjoying it because I'm being creative. And I feel like I'm making people laugh. And, you know, so to me, it's more for myself than anything else because it's helping my soul. Does that make any sense? Just to kind of.
Oh, yeah. So are you doing the TikTok video where it says, not on Facebook anymore because they're fighting everywhere?
Yes, I did do a video on that because I posted some of my videos on Facebook and my friends like, why are you on that app? They're stealing your information. I go, what are they going to steal my TikTok dances? I'm like, you know, because basically everybody's got your information anyway, and TikTok is going to be sold. So I'm an opportunist, and so I'm seeing since they're going to be sold, this is the time for me to build up my followers on that platform because it's going to be like Instagram. It's going to be a little, I mean, I'm sure because of what me and Brian are doing, I'm going to have followers, but just, you know what I'm saying? I'm just getting organic followers right now. It's a good time for me to be on that platform. So,
and you know what? I want to focus on what you said about stealing the stuff because I'm a techie and I'm somebody that always, before cell phones and before internet and all that, I liked being under the grid, you know,
yeah.
and off the grid. You can't anymore. I don't care what you do. If you go outside at night, there's 3 satellites up there in the sky. You can see with the human eye. They're watching everything we do.
They are.
We're tracked. If you're on the internet, you're on social media. I finally gave up and I was like, screw it. You know, so like you said, to your point, what are they going to take? Like, we're already giving them everything anyway. And by the way, the person that wants to shut them down should also stop making his ties in China and his daughter making her clothing line in China. Just saying.
Well, I'm just going to go back. I don't want to get into politics, but I just want to get back to the technology thing. Okay, I also work in technology. I'm a business person also, and I work in tech and healthcare. So we're constantly having issues with people hacking into our system in healthcare. It's a big problem. So, I mean, I already know that, you know, it's really hard to keep your privacy in this world private. Again, because they steal everything, and so again, as you're saying, like I don't have. What are they going to steal from me? Everybody knows everything about me anyway. If you want to find out any information on anybody, I'll use Google your name, and you can find out where they live and the inside pictures of your house. So I mean, it's that scary, and Big Brother scares me, but it's just the reality of what we're living in.
But there's nothing we can do anymore. That's the point. You know, it's like, listen. Everybody used to talk about microchipping us. We microchipped ourselves. You know, they don't microchip us. We microchipped ourselves on social media, the internet, and cell phones.
Well, so, another thing too is with TikTok, I was thinking, so if you post yourself on TikTok, you could automatically upload it to YouTube or Instagram. So people aren't having problems with Instagram or YouTube, but obviously they're connected because it goes right to it, like Facebook goes to Instagram. So basically, I just kind of like shake my head and just go, whatever, I'm going to do it. If you have a problem with it, it's your problem, which I don't understand too in this world we're living into right now. Why people are so in your business and they don't mind their own business. Like, why do you care that I'm on TikTok? Why do you care? It's not your information.
Who cares? You know what?
I couldn't be happier that she's on TikTok because it cuts off politics. And I don't want these people to do it with my friend Terri. And I tell her all the time, I couldn't be happier, Terri, and you know that.
Well, it's just less toxic, and it's just, I mean, I'm an entertainer at heart. That's why I like to do, I'm a peacock, I guess. That's why I like to do, you know, bikini fitness. That's why I've always liked to be on stage. My mom used to still makes fun of me, because when I was 4 years old, I'd be jumping up and down in the doctor's office trying to, you know, entertain people. That's just what I do. So.
And you know what? So what? People are having fun on TikTok, and who cares, and whatever. And you know what? It is much better, you know, because you sit there and scroll on Facebook and you want to shoot yourself.
Seriously, it's depressing. Everybody's like, COVID, Trump, COVID. I'm like, oh God, I'm just so over it. I'm over it.
And even before that stuff, I always used to say stuff like, people, first of all, Facebook's not real life.
Yeah.
Like, I know somebody that worked for me that had a romantic relationship with somebody they met on Facebook and never saw them in real life. I'm like, you're not in a relationship. And then, you know, stuff like your psychotherapist is Facebook. Oh, let's go on and say, oh, woe is me. So your 5,000 friends that you've never seen ever in your life say, you poor thing. Or, oh, I'm so filled with love because 5,000 people just told me happy birthday that I've never talked to in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people are going to be mean to you when you're making videos too. But, you know, I mean, if you're like somebody like me who's an entertainer, or no matter what I do, there's going to be people that are going to hate on me because I'm putting myself out there. But at least it's like, I don't know, but it's still, I'm making people laugh. I'm entertaining people. So it's not like, like you said, I'm not doing my therapy on Facebook, which people just tend to do. I know it's almost like you get on there and you would think the people that wouldn't even do that. You know what I mean? They get sucked into it.
First reaction, that's where we have a problem in this society, is back when, before you had all this, if you got upset, there's nobody you could talk to immediately or say anything, or you had that cool down period where you realized you were being ridiculous. Now, people get into arguments, and the first thing they do is go and post on Facebook about it. And then it's like...
No, or you have too many drinks, or you'll be out, and then you'll be like, have a fight with your people, have fights with their, you know, their boyfriend, their spouse, and they'll be drunk, and you know that they're drunk on Facebook. You're like, going, don't Facebook drunk. It happens all the time.
And you know what I do like about TikTok? Like, I watch these TikTok videos, and I have a lot of respect, and thank God for COVID, because I don't know how people put up these videos without COVID, man. It's a lot of work.
Well, I'm just doing it because, you know, I consider myself a performer. But yeah, if you weren't a performer, like, where would you get, you know, where would you have the energy? But I'm like, I'll come home from the gym and I'll have an idea, huh?
It's work though. It's like, you know, people put a lot of effort into those TikTok videos. I have much respect for it, because I have a TikTok account and I haven't made a real video yet. I've posted a couple videos that I did on Snapchat or whatever, but other than that, I'm like, man, I don't even have enough time to make one of those.
That's why, Dean, that's why I told Terry, go for it, because I don't have the time to do that. I can admit that, because it looks like it takes longer than what it takes.
It takes like 13 hours to do a 1-minute video.
Well, I was telling Brian, what I like to do is with some of our sponsors, you know, I'll make little videos for our sponsors and stuff, then that helps everybody. You know what I mean? I'm having fun doing it. It helps our sponsors. It gets their name out. So it's like a win-win for everybody. But it's fun for me. So anyway.
I think it's great. And like believe it or not, I use Snapchat. Like when I have this thing called the Pipe Man Radio Tour, which I'm shut down for this year, but I do like 50 festivals and concerts a year, and I go on tour just like the musicians do. And so I use Snapchat to document like my tour, and people follow my Snapchat just to see what's going on next. And it's easy, you know, it's just like, I'm just videoing everything I'm doing.
Well, what I'm noticing too is because TikTok is, you know, a what is it? A singing app? Well, not a singing app. What is it when you like a karaoke kind of thing? Whatever. I don't know what you would call it. Right? Voiceover. So that's where it came from. But now we've got all these performers, such as musicians, musical talent. They're putting original sounds up there, which is giving them another way to get their music out, which I think is awesome.
You know who I think is one of the most talented people on TikTok that I follow? Jessica Alba. She's got an amazing TikTok. Like for a while, she was doing all the dances, and it was like she was just having the best time, and she was good with it, and doing it with her kids and all that. And I think that's another thing. You take somebody like that may normally be untouchable, and it makes them
They're human.
fans part of it. It's like, wow, I get to see her real life,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And get her to see her doing stuff that, you know, isn't what you would see out there in, you know, movies or anything like that.
Yeah, being a goofball like a real person, you know.
No
So
doubt.
I mean, I've got some. I mean, my videos get better and better. I've been doing it for about 2 months now, and I'm slowly building my following. But it's like, I think every time I do a video, it gets better, and I get more creative because it makes me like, I'll sit there, I'll go to bed at night going, what can I do? You know, what kind of idea can I get? You know, so.
Hey,
It's
Dean,
cool
let me.
the different ones too that are done. Like there's like, so you see so many different people. Like even my daughter said to me, she saw some of the stuff I was sharing. She's like, wow, you find way different stuff on TikTok than I do. And there is that variety.
Well, I have to tell Brian he's going to be proud of me. So I did this video on Saturday. It's my first video that took off. As today, it's got 40,000 views.
Wow.
Nice.
Terri,
So, what?
Terri, we got a couple minutes left. I'm gonna let you ask the last question. And Dean, I want to see if we can do a part 2 with you sometime.
We need part 2, yes.
All right.
No doubt.
Terri, you get the last question. Go ahead.
Terry?
Oh,
No,
me?
Terri.
Oh, I thought Sherry did.
No, Sherry
I
gets
didn't talk
it.
too much. Let Sherry ask.
Go ahead, Terry.
I don't have another question for right now.
Well, Dean, when you, Pipe Man, when you come back, Terry, again, you guys have so much in common. I'd like you guys to talk about, you know, the days of the troubadour and the rainbow. Because I was listening to your show with Talking to Don Dawkin, and it was really good. And I'm curious where you might see it, if there's ever a possibility for festivals in the future.
It's changing, and I hope so, because I love doing it. And, you know, it's been kind of a bummer. Like, this is the longest in 5 years I've been in place in Florida, because I'm not really even a big fan of Florida. Where I live is kind of cool to be part-time, but, you know, now I've been here, like I was in Costa Rica, came back a week later, we were locked down, and
Wow.
been here since, and it's like, I don't like being in Florida this long. But it, you know, I hope it does. Will it be the same? Who knows? Who knows what'll happen? It's hard to tell, but I can tell you that I'm not really down with the drive-up concerts. Sorry, I think it's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
The whole part of going to a concert or festival is being part of that crowd, being part of everything, not being by yourself. Might as well stay at home and watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, you can't jump around and dance like sitting in the car. Yeah, it's like.
Yeah, I can't go into mosh pits. You
Yeah.
know. What I did see that was pretty cool is this idea of these hotel ones where like there's hotels surrounding, everybody's on their balconies, and that looked pretty cool.
That would be cool.
And, you know, they have these virtual online ones that some of the people I deal with are asking me to promote, and, you know, I'll promote them. But I can't get into it. It's like, I'm sorry, but why do I want to pay to watch a video, basically? Is
Dean, I feel the same way on film festivals. I'm used to picking a lot of the films, and I just want to help the independent filmmakers because they're getting the short end of the stick. But I don't want to sit and watch films. I already got to sit and watch films on 3 different computers at the same time. Why do I have to pay for it?
And no doubt, and imagine future generations and stuff like that, not ever knowing what it's like, what I experienced on the Sunset Strip in the 80s, you know, like that's what gives me the passion I have. You know, I may not remember what happened, but I had a lot of fun.
Dean, all right, so let me ask you this before we go. Did you ever stumble into Tower Video like everybody else was coming in there at the point?
You mean Tower Records?
Nope,
Tower
Tower
Video.
Video.
Talking about Tower on Sunset?
Yeah, Tower Video.
Yeah,
Because everybody came into Tower Video. That's where I was. So Axl Rose and Slash were my managers and sister managers in '86 before they hit it big in Guns N' Roses.
Oh, really? Yeah, no, I used to go to Tower Records. I don't remember Tower Video, actually.
So he was, Sherry and Terry, he was a music guy. I was getting into video. So I was working at Power 106 and '87 to '91. And then I stopped listening to music for a couple of years because I saw it changing.
Yeah, see, I used to go to shows in 1981 where Metallica had 25 people at the Troubadour, and then you'd go to their house afterwards and party all night long and pick up your friends that were passed out in the bushes.
I was the designated driver to go pick up my friends at those parties.
Nice. You know, and
I'm going to end with this. Dean, we got to have you back because you have so much to do. I know we'll all have more questions. One last thing. My favorite band was Van Halen, Queen, and Police. Who was yours?
Well, it depends on what time you say it was, okay? So my favorite band as a kid was Kiss, because the first album I ever got in my life was at I won at Point Pleasant, or Seaside Heights, I mean, on the boardwalk, the first Kiss album when it first came out. Then I became a huge Beatles fan, so I was like bipolar. My bedroom was half Beatles, half Kiss. Then I found Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, Grateful Dead, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. But then I found Slayer.
Ah, love Slayer.
Wow. If you ask me my top 5 now, like I had different favorites. Ozzy was a favorite of mine. I wrote in a history class in high school and got an A. I did an oral report on Ozzy Osbourne. If you ask me my top 5 now, it would be Slayer, Metallica, System of a Down, Slipknot, and Bring Me the Horizon.
All right, I'm going to end with that. So, Dean, thank you for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. We got to do a part 2 because we got more stuff to talk about. Sherry, thank you for that beautiful introduction because you're so wonderful and I adore you. And I call her good luck now. Non-stop, you know, I'm calling you. Keep up your videos because I couldn't be more happy for you. So this is Brian Sebastian for everybody. I want to thank everybody for coming on. If you see someone without a smile, please give them one of yours because the world needs it. And we will see you next week.